What is going on, friends? Thank you for joining us today for our special interview with Jonathan Hood. You can catch Jonathan Hood everywhere in the universe. He is the host of Dickerson and Hood on ESPN Radio. You can catch his NBA show on SiriusXM. He is also the play-by-play basketball voice of the UIC Flames. He is a mentor at the Illinois Media Center. He is everywhere. We talk about the Chicago Bulls. We get into the Mayweather-Mcgregor fight. We talk about Jon Bones Jones suspension and so much more. But before we get to Hoodie, here's a quick message. What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
another day at the operator to go out there and test my skill.
To award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support. Thank you for keeping it with us, guys. Here's our interview with Jonathan Hood. Enjoy. The fight world is actually in a weird time where NBA just took over with Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie Irving. I still feel like the fight world is where all the attention is at right now.
It is. The Jones news is really disturbing for sure. And but of course, with Mayweather, McGregor is going to pick up right away on Saturday. So I talked to Ray Flores about it yesterday. So he's really excited about it. He says there's so much hype in Vegas right now for the fight.
How are you feeling about that, though? Like, I know you when I was a grad assistant over at IMS, and we would talk about every single time Danny Garcia had a fight or Canelo had a fight, and you know I don't want to sound snobbish or purist of the sport, but we love the sport of boxing. We love the art form of it. Do you feel like we've kind of gone away from that with the media hype? I mean, we're also wrestling fans, so we see what this is. We see that they're selling the pay-per-view. How are you feeling about everything that's kind of happened since the Mayweather-McGregor fight has been signed and sealed?
I think that it's always important to be able to talk people into the building. I think that one of the best wrestling organizations out there is what Dana White does with the MMA, and here's why. Wrestling has always been built on hype. It's always been about the interviews. It's always about the video packages. And then when you watch the MMA and see what they've been able to do, you know, what gets you excited about the fights is what the fighters say, how they hype up the actual events. And so that's why I think that this works out perfectly. I'm still about the science of the UFC and how they do things. The same thing with boxing. But I'm just glad that you can see that there's hype, but there's actual substance to it as well. So that's why at least we're getting both. But as I mentioned, like the MMA and boxing have stolen from wrestling for years because you need that hype to get you excited for the event.
With this fight coming out, unlike the Tony and the Couture fight, you're right, there is substance to this because we know McGregor is a combat artist. We know he's not going in there blind. The problem I have, and I'm not necessarily the biggest Mayweather fan, but I respect the fact that the man is probably the most brilliant defender that's ever walked into any ring. And McGregor's walking into that. He's not walking into a warm-up fight. He's not walking into Mayweather has been bred since he was 8 years old to do this, and even at his old age, I still think that people aren't respecting of all time to not respect Mayweather. It's right now against McGregor. The betting lines are going crazy.
Well, yeah, I think that that people look at Floyd Mayweather as someone that is a boxer, Mike, but someone that doesn't entertain necessarily. I saw the numbers as well, because if McGregor is to win, Vegas is going to shut down. I saw the numbers. Like if McGregor is able to win, it's going to be really bad for Vegas because everyone's tilting the other way. And as far as Floyd Mayweather, I have respect for him because here's a guy here that's going to have his 50th win after Saturday's done because he is just that good.
Yeah.
He is clearly top 5 in my lifetime of great fighters that I've seen perform. And I think that he does not get the respect that he gets because people say, well, Floyd Mayweather fights fighters that's on the downside of their career. Well, I mean, whether you're on the downside or whether you're a young fella like Canelo, the issue is that if you come out on top and you win, you win. And so it doesn't matter if they're an older opponent or not. If Floyd is more aggressive in the eyes of the judges, then he deserves those victories. But, I mean, everyone can have a slant on what they look at. But with Floyd Mayweather, for sure, he's a top 5 fighter all time for me.
What are you looking forward to this Saturday, though? What do you think you're going to see when we turn it on? We're all watching this pay-per-view. You think Mayweather's going to win, but what do you think is going to – what's the story going to be that breaks down through all 12 rounds, if it goes that long?
Well, I think that the one thing, Mike, that we know is that Floyd is one to entertain. Mm-hmm. And I think that he doesn't want to disappoint the fans. He knows that there's a lot of money on the line. So I think that if he was an aggressive fighter, that he could take Conor out in 2 rounds. I don't see that happening, though, because that's not Floyd's game. I think there's going to be a feeling-out process the first couple of rounds. He doesn't want to be connected, with a left hand from McGregor. So I think that there'll be a feeling-out process, and I could see Mayweather wearing down McGregor until we get to the 5th or 6th round and maybe take him out. I think at the most we could see it go the full distance, and not necessarily because McGregor is this great athlete or this great boxer. It's just that Floyd likes to be able to kind of bounce around a little bit, entertain the fans. But I'm calling it maybe at the 6th round where McGregor might be overwhelmed, and that Floyd will take him right out.
I think it's going to go 8 rounds. I think Mayweather will wear him down. I think McGregor's going to have a nice storm to start off. He's going to have a good, maybe 2 rounds. He's going to show something off, but we all know Mayweather's a cyborg. He's just downloading exactly what you're doing. He's learning your moves, and he's going to take out McGregor. But God help us all, Hoodie, if McGregor pulls out a victory. The next week we have an awesome fight. Triple G versus Canelo.
It is an awesome fight. I'm a big fan of both. Yeah. You think about Canelo, and I'm a big fan. I don't even think we've seen the best of Canelo just as of yet. I really enjoy watching him perform. Triple G, of course, is someone that I've been watching on pay-per-view for quite a few years. Canelo, I think, is going to be is tremendous. I just think that he'll be able to come out on top on that one. I'd love to see him have like this huge, like steal the show type of bout.
Right.
Hopefully that'll be the case because I'm just a big fan of his.
I would love an instant classic between those 2 men. Put themselves in the annals of boxing, and we can always look back when we go to ESPN Classic and be like, yeah, remember the week after Mayweather McGregor, we got an instant classic. That'll be a nice treat. And staying in the fight world, you and I were talking before we started recording. The terrible news about Bones. Being suspended with after being tested positive with steroids after the Cormier fight for the light heavyweight championship. I'm a big fan of Jones. I know you are as well. But it's like you said off here. What was the word you used?
What was the word I used? Just a shame, or just very difficult?
Very disturbing.
Disturbing.
As well. Yes.
Yeah, it is disturbing. I this is just for any athlete, Mike. It just it's really a shame. Mm-hmm. That you see someone like Bones Jones, someone that can be considered by many as the best pound-for-pound fighter in that sport when he's clean, mm-hmm. and has the penchant to be able to be a box office attraction.
Every time.
Someone that you want to turn on the TV or turn on your device to see. Mm-hmm. Someone that you have an emotional investment in Bones Jones, but yet he can't stay clean enough, and he continues to throw it away. It's really a shame because when you saw that fight against Cormier, you thought, man, and listen, Cormier is a fine fighter. Yeah. He spends a lot of time on Fox, as a broadcaster. So, I mean, I kind of thought that Jones could possibly win by decision, but it ended up where Jones really came out on top. And I really thought that this was going to be the turning point for him. And Jones is no different from a lot of athletes that we've seen. They just kind of throw it away, Mike. I don't understand why you feel like you have to take a shortcut to be able to get out on top. There's a substance abuse issue with Jon Bones Jones, and I'm thinking that this might be his last opportunity. I know that there's second and third chances. Look at Brock Lesnar. I mean, there's a number of chances that you have in that sport. Mm-hmm. But how will people really look at you and depend on you to be able to return to the cage? And even if you come out on top, will you have another opportunity? Well, how do we know that you're clean? Right. That's the thing that's so disheartening for me about that.
And how could Dana and the brass put him in the headline of a UFC 250 at New York City in Madison Square Garden? You can't trust him that he'll make it to that point. And I'm exactly with you. It's interesting knowing the sports world how he got tested for cocaine and we we were upset at him, but we understood like, hey, that's outside of the sport. And as soon as the taintedness comes out of performance enhancing drugs, it almost just puts like, oh, it's not just him being a wild man partying after a win. It's he thought he needed to take a shortcut at this point for some reason. And that's what's upsetting about a man with that much talent. What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
another David, the operator, to go out there and test my skill,
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.
Yeah, it's just a shame. I mean, Jon Bones Jones. I would say that's a mistake. But it's not really a mistake because you didn't have the feeling that you can get past Cormier without what you had to do to get there. That's the thing that's just, if he realized how talented he is, then he wouldn't have to do those things, Mike. And that's the thing that's really disturbing is that I don't think that he has the confidence to think, man, I can go in here and really be the face of this MMA and the face of UFC, and he kind of threw it away right there.
And it's a shame because then you also got awesome guys like Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, who, because he's at the lower weight class, doesn't get the same love, but you hear nothing but great things about him. It's an interesting sport, something we got to keep our eyes on, especially as it keeps growing. I mean, that's the crazy thing, is this sport keeps growing. Combat sports is developing and maturing into a new era, and I think it's really exciting that we're seeing it right in front of us. And staying in the sports world, because as soon as I teased some people that I was going to have the Chicago staple Jonathan Hood on, was who wins a title first? This one has been bugging me. Who wins the title first, the Chicago Bulls or the Chicago Bears?
Boy, that's really tough. I would say that it's the Bears.
Just a turnaround.
And here's why it's the Bears, because at least with the Bears, there are some cornerstone players that you can look at and say, I like Jordan Howard, or I like Kyle Long, or I like certain guys in the defense that could be with the team for the next 3, 4, 5 years. And, of course, we don't know what this draft class looks like, and we don't know that, whether or not Tariq Cohen is going to be a guy yet, or Shaheen at tight end, or Trubisky. You don't know if that's the future quarterback for you. You have no idea because they're so young. But I would say that at the very least, there are a number of guys on that Bears team that can be cornerstones for some time to come. And with the Bulls, once Dwayne Wade is bought out of that contract, and it will happen, once he's either bought out of that contract or he will be traded to go someplace else, then you're looking at a couple of assets there, but then you're so young for the rest of the way, and you're coached by Fred Hoiberg. I just think that between the two, the Bulls are the team that's mismanaged That's the thing that's troublesome. Like, whatever you think of Ryan Pace as a GM, I think that he's got something going with some of his draft picks, and I can't say the same thing for Gar Forman and John Paxson.
I really want to get your opinion on this. I know you've talked about it a lot, but for anybody who has to catch up on the podcast, do you think at this point the Bulls pulling the trigger to try to rebuild and then picking a lane, to their credit, picking a lane, do you think it was mistimed, though, the fact that the NBA landscape is changing so much that I don't personally think they were ever in a position to win a title with Jimmy if they got Kyrie, whatever the case may be. But there is a segment of the fan base and the sports world that thinks, really, you do it now at this point when Cleveland's imploding? Do you think, just like everything else almost with this organization since Jordan left, that they sat on their assets and they just couldn't pull the trigger at the right time?
Well, this is one of the problems with the Bulls, or when John Paxson was running it, and that is the inability to know when to pull the trigger, and holding on to assets of Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose and waiting for Rose to get healthy. I mean, the whole issue with the Bulls is that you waited for Derrick Rose to get healthy. Once he got injured in that game against the Sixers in the playoff game, it was all downhill from there. But either you had to build on that and have someone to help out at that point guard spot to find more talent to add on, or you had to rip it apart. And I know that would have been heartbreaking for Bulls fans, but you got to know when to pull the trigger. Atlanta did. Atlanta a couple of years ago won 60-plus games. They looked at the franchise and said, well, we're not as good as Cleveland, we're not as good as Boston as they were building their team, not as good as Washington, and so they tore it apart. And so with this Bulls team, they tried. Last year they were an average basketball team. A couple of years ago, average basketball team. So now they're able to do it. If say, for instance, Jimmy Butler is not traded, okay, so look at what's happened. Now Boston could be the top team in the East with Cleveland. Washington is a good young up-and-coming team. Milwaukee, up-and-coming team. The Bulls could have been right there as a 6 seed. Now, is that what you want as a franchise, or do you want to be on top? You can't be on top until LeBron retires, or until he goes to the West. I mean, look at it from that standpoint, Mike. Like, they could have easily, in this East now, could have been a 6 or 7 seed, but they've been that
forever.
But you got to decide what you want to be. Do you feel like you're on a treadmill of mediocrity, or do you want to be eventually a top team? But you got to wait for LeBron, and now you got to wait for the Celtics to either win their championship or break up. And so you're just going to be struggling, like in Indiana, like Detroit, like Brooklyn, like the Knicks. The Bulls in the same boat.
And it's a problem all along the Eastern Conference. And I think what frustrates me more, along it being in this business, but also as a fan, is the idea that they've picked a lane. But do I trust the brass to make the right decisions, to develop? And that's an issue. That's an issue a lot of people don't, and even if they admit it, it's nothing we can do about it. It's the same thing with the McCaskies, even though Ryan Pace does seem to have a goal and he wants to do the northern version of New Orleans. It's tough. It's tough to see what if they have a top 3 draft pick in the NBA draft next year. Will they make the right decision? That to me is the true test of what this regime is going to be known for. They have hit on some players, like you said, but they also sat on Joakim. They said on Luol Deng, thinking that he was the next star, not wanting to trade him for Kobe Bryant, and that whole mess that was going on. So I'm 100% with you. And one of the other questions, speaking of development, I'm a diehard Cub fan, but I love what the White Sox have done. I think what they have done is great for baseball. I think it's great for the city. But my question is, bringing in talent is one thing. Can they develop it? Do they have the system? Do they have the track record to bring up Eloy, who naturally is gifted, but can they make him an MVP? Can they make him the Stanton of the American League? That's what I want to know. How do you feel about that?
Well, that's a good question, because I don't know if that's going to be the case, and I have no idea. I think that when we talk about pick a lane, right? Mm-hmm. Well, you have to, if you're the White Sox. Look at the White Sox business model. The White Sox business model, from a fan standpoint, is looking out the window at guaranteed rate and saying, "Is anyone coming?" Mm-hmm. Your whole thing is based on walk-up tickets. So you realize that you have a half-empty, sometimes three-quarters empty stadium every home game, except maybe on the weekends. So if you know that your attendance is down, you have every right to hit the reset button for your organization, because the Kenny Williams way was to get diminishing assets, trading away your good farm system kids for Manny Ramirez or for Kevin Youkilis or for players that were good in the past, Ken Griffey Jr., guys that were great in the past, and that business model was bad, for Kenny Williams. So for him for now Rick Hahn to be the face of this rebuild, I think there's nothing wrong with it. You have to be able to have a farm system that you can believe in, young assets that can help you now. They're not all going to be home runs,
right,
but I think that the majority of them can help you in some way. It's good to see Sanchez and Yohan Moncada on this team. It is good to see Garcia on this team, and I think that they're in Delmonico also on this team. There's some assets there that could be there for the future. I like that Jose Abreu is still around, because at least you have a veteran there along with these young guys. Tim Anderson's still learning. I'm still not sold on him at shortstop defensively.
All the talent in the world, though.
Yeah, he's fine. I think that's okay to hit the reset button. I don't know whether or not they're going to be a championship team or not, but at least they have a lane that I like, that they have young players and trying to develop. I don't expect them to have a Cubs-like renaissance, but I do expect them to be able to compete at some point.
And I think that's the point that all baseball and sports fans have to understand is the Cubs were the lucky one. They're the exception to that proves the rule that it takes time. You're not going to hit all of them, and we're seeing it now. The growing pains continue. You just got lucky and you cashed in money in the bank last year. That's all that was, because it was easily the Cubs could have lost last year. And imagine the season, the summer we would have had right now in the North Side if they had lost in Game 7 to Cleveland after what Joe Maddon did with the bullpen and the starting rotation. And it's amazing how crazy the game of baseball works. And I really want to see the White Sox develop. I think, and as a Hispanic myself, I love the fact that we have Javi, Wilson, all these guys in the North Side, but on the South Side, we have some great Black and Hispanic players that are coming up the system, and that is awesome for the sport. What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
Another day at the operator to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support. We had literally a year worth of wrestling in 4 days. How are you feeling after it? Are you tired? Are you still alive?
Yeah, I'm still alive. I enjoy it. I think that when you look at Brooklyn for NXT on Saturday, it reminds me in the past of a Saturday Night's Main Event or a Clash of the Champions back in the days of the NWA WCW. I think that Triple H does a tremendous job of showcasing something different. When I'm watching NXT, I don't think of it as a WWE product because of the in-ring action that you see. No frills, video packages, here's the event. Video package, no BS, and here's the event. And so I think that formula is the same formula that I grew up watching, same kind. And so that's why I like it so much, because it's different than everything else that you see in the WWE. So seeing Drew McIntyre come out on top and winning the NXT Championship, that's a great reboot for him. He was supposed to be the guy in 2009, and of course it's just the typical WWE that just really failed him. And I thought that they dropped the ball on him, and now he has an opportunity. I love that. I love their tag team scene as well. I'm a big fan of that Sanity group.
Yeah.
That reminds me of Kevin Sullivan's groups from back in the days in the '80s.
Nice.
So I love that. So and I think Asuka, I think she might have stolen the show. I think that her women's title match, I think that stole the show for Saturday night. Yeah. And then on Sunday, to see that four-way, that's typical Vince McMahon. I know he loves to have those big guys in there, and that was a tremendous fatal four-way for the World Championship. I'm glad it was not the traditional, wait for my tag, four guys, in every corner and kind of waiting for a tag to come in. It was just a crazy fatal four-way. It was exactly what you wanted, and I think the thing that impressed me the most is that Brock Lesnar took a beating.
Yeah.
He yes, he was away for a while on the stretcher and came back, but he did take a beating, and I think that he got over with me because I didn't think he would take that kind of punishment. But I think that's the kind of match, Mike, where all four guys look good at the end.
And
I saw Roman lost, but I think all four guys look good. Samoa Joe looks good. Braun Strowman looks good. He looks really strong in that. So I thought that was great. I thought that the SummerSlam was about a B because it's a long event. I was disappointed in the Raw Women's Title match. I expected a little bit more. I understood the story, but I thought I was going to see a little bit more from that. I'm a big Alexa Bliss fan, and I just thought that her and the Boss did not. It seemed clunky. It was not fluid, that match, and
the chemistry wasn't there. I expected
more. Yeah, it just wasn't there. But I thought that Styles did a great job with Kevin Owens in that U.S. title match. So I think all in all, it was a great weekend for wrestling fans.
I personally thought the New Day versus Usos was probably the best match of the SummerSlam night. It was a little disappointed that it didn't make it to the main card, but again, like you said, they spread it out with the fact that it's the network and people can watch it whenever. I give it a little slide for that. But I thought NXT, and it's one of those weird moments where I've been watching wrestling my whole life, going through the Attitude Era. You've gone through the great times of Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, so we've seen a lot of wrestling. And NXT, every takeover, reminds me of what the entertainment and the athletic ability makes me love this genre of entertainment. And I think that's what it is. And maybe it's having the mind of someone like Triple H behind there, where as a kid, if you were to tell me, hey, remember Triple H, the one that you booed when you were 7 years old, would bring you the best product, it's absolutely amazing. And I think every weekend you never hear complaint about it. It's unbelievable in the wrestling community to hardly get complaints about a show. What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
another day the operator to go out there and test my skill.
To award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.
Well, yeah, I think that because he gives you something that you're looking for. You tune in to watch a wrestling show, you want to see wrestling. I think Triple H understands that. If he was running Raw and SmackDown, I think that a lot of what you see on NXT would be on those shows, but he doesn't run those shows. And so this is why Vince said, okay, here's what we're going to do. You want to have a developmental company, we'll put it in Florida. That's where people would want to be because it's warm. We're going to put it in a place where you run it. I won't have any say in it. You run it. We'll give you the financial backing for it, and you go from there. And I'll look at it. Triple H is the person that's the head of that thing. And people, I think the other thing too, Mike, is that people root for Triple H because they want it to succeed. There's an emotional investment there in it. Wherever it goes, it does pretty well. Even some house shows. Not all house shows do well for NXT, but I think for the most part it does pretty well. I know the feeling probably out there is like, well, isn't every NXT show like that? You know, like we saw in Brooklyn. Or actually, no, it's not. No. I mean, there's some empty seats in some of those cities that they go to, but at least those kids get a chance to travel and get a chance to do it in front of a live audience on a house show. So I think that. I think that's exactly what we want as fans. I enjoy it because it's young people. You can see some mistakes here and there, but at the same time, it's fun. It's loose. It's different, and I think that it reminds me of some of the territory wrestling that I saw in the '80s.
That's what a lot of people
reminds me of. It's just except it's got a lot more money than World Class in Dallas and or the AWA in Minneapolis.
We don't have Jim Cornette on top of a staff or Gagne stretching people.
It's not Jim Crockett Promotions. I know that for sure. It's not. It's not any of those things. But it's really fun. I enjoy it.
Hoodie, before we let you go, I really want to just get your opinion on this. I'm gonna list off something. ESPN radio host with Dickerson, SiriusXM radio host for the NBA, the UIC Flames radio play-by-play, Illinois Media Center mentor, wrestling, television. You're into it all. How do you time manage, man? I think that's the lesson that I always wanted to learn from you is how do you keep that hustle going?
Bills. These bills will pay themselves.
I love you, Hoodie.
So it's just when you, and Mike, you know this because you have a passion for this business. You always had this passion and this drive for this business that I wish more people had, actually. I wish they had your drive for the business. But you understand that when you're doing something that you really enjoy, it's not really working. Yeah. And so there will be times where I have worked an ESPN Chicago show, an ESPN National show, and a SiriusXM NBA show all on the same day. But when you're having fun, it doesn't matter. Because you might be like, wow, that was a busy day, but it was a fun day because we're able to talk about what we want to talk about. And I think that's the difference between saying, man, I got these shifts versus, man, I'm going to have fun at work today. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. I've done a talk show and done play-by-play in the same day. But it beats working for a living. It doesn't. it really is because it's fun. We work in the toy department. Yeah. We work in sports, and so the time management is I can look at my schedule sometimes, and sometimes my wife will say, okay, you might want to take a day off here or there. You might want to take a breather, sure. Because she sees it even though I don't see it. Right. So she's very keen on my schedule, knows when that maybe I should take a day off here, maybe take a weekend off there. Right. So I mean but otherwise I enjoy working right through because it's a passion.
I know I say it every time I get an interview, even when I see you in person, but thank you for being the mentor that's helped me put me in the spot that I feel comfortable with. The timing that you've always given every single one of us. I'll never forget the first day I met you at IMS. I'm like, oh my God, that's Jay Hood. And you literally took an hour out of your day to just talk to me about wrestling and the Bulls. When you literally were going to do that for 4 hours later on that day, you've done it for an hour before, and you got another 100 students waiting to talk to you. So for anybody behind the scenes, I don't care if it sounds like about. Thank you, not just for doing this, but thank you for being such a big part of my career, and that's led me into being able to work with the UFC and Bellator MMA, being able to talk to guys like Orlando Jones. That's a lot of it has to do with your mentorship. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for being a willing participant of my nonsense.
It's the best nonsense there is.
Absolutely.
Hoodie, you're at Tweet J Hood, IG J Hood, and you're at Snap J Hood, right?
Yeah, how about that on Snapchat, too?
The world wasn't ready for it. I don't think I was ready for it. When I saw it, I'm like, uh-oh, here we go.
There's some things I do record on Snapchat, and I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't put that out there.
Like, oops.
No one needs to see me at the bar. It's my Snapchat is growing on strong at Snapjay Hood. So we're having fun. Well, I'll make sure that people know when I'm on the air, let people know that we're having fun. So that's why I add Snapchat to the repertoire.
You're one of the best. Literally, you're a Chicago staple. I don't say that just to say it. I literally told people I don't like posting who my interviews are going to be, but I told everybody, who were close to me, like, hey, I'm going to have a hoodie on. I'm going to have hoodie on. And everybody's like, you lucky bastard. He's so cool. Why is he so cool? I'm like, oh, you guys don't know the half of it. Just you guys should see the stories we don't tell on the radio.
Exactly. No question about that.
All right, Hood.
Book one day.
Yeah, Hoodie, you're the best. Thank you so much, man. Love you. You're the man. Thank you so much for taking some time for us.
Absolutely, Mike. And for your listeners, keep supporting Mike. He needs all the support that he can get. So just continue to grow and let people know that Mike's got the best show going right now. So hope more people listen.
He's right. I do need friends. He's wrong. I don't have the best show. I'm just trying to keep up with Hoodie. Hoodie, thank you, brother. I really appreciate you.
All right, man. Take care.
A huge thank you to our guy, Jonathan Hood, for joining us today. You can follow him everywhere in the universe. He's on Twitter at TweetJHood. You can follow him on Instagram, IGJHood. He's also on Snapchat, SnapJHood. Support him. He's the best. You can catch him on Dickerson and Hood on ESPN Radio. You can catch his NBA show on SiriusXM. You can also catch him with the UIC Flames come next season. Another huge thank you to Jonathan Hood, and a huge thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for the constant support. It means the world to us, guys. You can follow us everywhere in the universe. We're on Twitter at mmercado2333. Follow me on Instagram at MikeMercado2333. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Do us a huge favor. Go to iTunes, subscribe, like, and review us, guys. It means the world to us. 5 stars. Let us know what you think about the show. We're also on Patreon if you would like to support us. If you would like to get these interviews and all our shows ad-free and before anybody else, visit us on patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. And, of course, visit the website, mercadoairwaves.wordpress.com. Thank you to Jonathan. Thank you to each and every one of you. Enjoy the big fight this weekend. Take care of each other. And we will see you next time here on Mercado Airwaves. What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
Another day at the operator to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.